It is Friday. Woo! Super excited. Last live for the week. Super excited about this one because it's with my friend. This will be the third person I've done a live with where I've actually met them in person. So super excited. Let's see if we can get her on. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing great. Excited that it's
Awesome.
weekend.
Yes, same here.
Doing anything fun?
Um, that's a good question. Do I have plans? Oh, actually, we're gonna try to go to Cox Farms. I don't know if you've ever been. It's in like Centerville area, but just they do like a fall festival every year. And with
Okay.
Corona, it's not the normal fall festival, but they're doing like a drive-through hayride on the route they usually do the hayride. So we're gonna
Interesting.
try it, see how it goes, but I'm excited. And I'll get a pumpkin and carve it, do the whole fall thing.
Perfect. Yeah, you
Yeah.
got to get in the Instagram fall pictures.
Oh, of course. All of them.
I love your makeup, by the
Oh,
way.
thank you. Totally
Looks good.
just did it so that I wouldn't be like rolling up to this call like, hi, just finished work.
We could have done one of the ones where you're like getting ready and
Oh,
you're
yeah. That could have been super casual, just like doing my makeup as we talked, but you know.
I could have just like mimicked you with like, I mean, I've got pins. I don't necessarily have makeup.
That actually would be a fun like video or something sometime if I like sent you makeup to work with and we did like a tutorial
Yeah,
where I try to talk you through. That'd be a good time.
that'd be perfect. Especially, I don't know, is this, yeah, the camera's backwards, so it would be
Oh,
interesting.
yeah, it would.
I mean, it's just like a mirror, right?
Yeah, totally.
Awesome. Well, I'll go ahead and let you introduce yourself for the people who are watching that don't know who you are, and then we can just jump into a discussion.
Sounds good. So, hi guys, my name is Cassie. If you haven't met me virtually before, most of what I do here on the internet is make lifestyle YouTube videos. And I know lifestyle is a very broad word. So basically, that involves beauty content because I am in love with all things makeup and just love playing around with it. And then also just kind of general life things. So I'll talk about working in the Washington, D.C. area and advice and things that I've learned being a young professional, all of that good stuff. So I try to keep things pretty positive on my channel, which is why Drummond and I get along so well. And I really think that, it's kind of a good fit for this series of lives that he's doing. So yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely. So tell them how long you've been on YouTube and how long you've been like posting stuff on YouTube.
Oh boy. See, this dates me. I'm not that old, I swear, but I have been on YouTube for 10 years as of September. So
That's crazy.
started when I was 16 and did not know what was happening in high school. It was great.
Yeah. So you've really gotten to see like the growth of YouTube and
Yeah,
how it's changed from the very beginning. I've been on YouTube probably just as long, but I wasn't really a YouTuber. I was an
right.
accidental one, so I didn't really know the functions of YouTube. It was until much later that I kind of started to discover how it worked and everything. So
Right.
you're definitely the person that I've always gone to, and I'm like, hey,
I
got
love
a
that.
question for you.
Always here for that.
I think like if they ever have like a game show where it's like everything YouTube, where they like talk about like the OGs of YouTube,
Yeah.
I feel like you would probably be the winner of that.
I would love to play. I'm sure there's other people that could like give me a run for my money, but I would probably be up there.
Yeah, I know that like we've gone to several YouTube events together. That's how we met actually.
Yeah.
Was Playlist Live. Sadly, they don't do it anymore in DC.
Upsetting.
But I mean, they've still got tons of them going on. And I mean, even from when I started going back in 2016, like it's changed a lot.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
I think that with social media, they're always introducing like new platforms to jump onto. And I mean, YouTube is kind of an old platform now, but it's still going.
definitely. Well, and it makes me laugh because I feel like, especially when people started to make a career out of being a YouTuber, like there were all these skeptics and like older people who were like, "Oh, this will be gone in like 3 years or whatever," and like here we are. Like I don't even know how many. I think YouTube was founded in like 2005, so it's been like 15 years now. Like I really don't think YouTube's going anywhere. So
Yeah. I almost feel like YouTube absorbs any of the apps that don't do well. It's like
Right.
if you become high enough on one of those platforms, you move over to YouTube because it's almost like the permanent platform that's going to exist.
Definitely.
So when it comes to building a brand on social media, so you started off very young, so you've definitely grown a lot. I know
Yes.
that we've all done videos where we look back at our first video or things that we used to post online, whether it was Facebook, Instagram, MySpace, YouTube. So what would be something that you would say that you've kind of like learned from that process? Because I feel like a lot of people are trying to jump into the platform now and they're
Right.
comparing themselves to people who have millions of followers, and you can't do that.
Oh, of course. I think it's so easy to want to compare yourself to people like that, but then you have to kind of look at their history and the trajectory that they've been on. Like, it's not like they just woke up and had 3 million subscribers one day. Like, most people put years of like sweat and tears and stress and just so many things into their channel. And for me personally, I think what I've learned about building a brand online is really trying to find the most authentic way to tell your own story. Especially when you're starting out, it's so easy to be inspired by a particular YouTuber or creator on whatever platform and kind of want to mimic what they're doing, but they're already successful doing what they're doing because they're being true to themselves. And so you kind of have to find a way to do that as well. And it's not necessarily easy to do at the start, but the most important thing to do is start making content and kind of find your way through doing that. Because if you let the fear of starting stop you, you're not going to ever get anywhere. So,
Yeah, I think we can all look back on our original videos when we started and kind of cringe a little bit at the awkwardness that exists there.
mhm,
It's definitely, I mean, there's some people out there who are just like naturals, but even if it's not your personality and your life that's growing, like your ability to edit changes. I know that when it came to like creating videos for myself, like I do look at the comments and there were things that people pointed out that I've used to like build myself and change my image to be more entertaining or make it to where people actually want to continue watching the video after they click on it.
right.
But you definitely learn a lot as you grow as a creator. And you and I have gone to a lot of different like VidCons, playlists, and those types of places. They have seminars and stuff that you can attend that kind of give you pointers on all of these crazy things that sometimes you never even realize exist in the background of people's videos.
Oh, definitely. There's a lot there. I think some people who aren't as experienced with it think it takes like, I don't know, an hour to make a video. And I just love to laugh at that because that is just not the case.
Yeah, most definitely. I like you and I did that one YouTube video together where we held up the signs of like I have done this, I have not,
Yeah.
and I think it's really funny because a lot of the people who create content, we do fall under some of the stereotypes of
Yep.
what content creators do. But I would say the awesome thing about that is like when you meet other content creators, like you form like this really amazing bond.
Yeah.
Because I would almost compare it like if you live in a rural area, it's almost like being part of like the LGBT community because
Mm,
you're by yourself and there's not other people that can relate to your story. They can like say, "Oh, that's really cool. I'm glad you're following your heart or your passion." But when you like go to one of these events and meet other people that are just like super excited about filming and like editing and want to learn how to be better at their craft, it's like a completely different experience than kind of going out in public with your camera and being looked at like a weirdo.
definitely.
So you were talking about how like your brand has like it's a very broad lifestyle. You've done makeup and stuff. Like when you first started the channel, like what was the concept that you wanted to go with and how did it grow from there?
So it was very simple when I started because I had no idea that it would be a thing that would last. It would almost at that point, I felt more like it was going to be a phase, like a thing I would just try and like see what happened. So the reason I chose Curly Hair Love for the name of my channel is because I wanted to make content about curly hair and styling curly hair, even though I totally didn't know what I was doing with my hair at that point in my life. I thought that I did. And also, when I personally went to YouTube, I just saw a gap for that kind of content. Like, there just weren't that many creators talking about curly hair. because it's, I guess, not as common, or it wasn't then. Now you can find anything you want on curly hair, which is awesome. But I just kind of saw that gap and wanted to attempt to fill it and just share things I'd learned about my hair. So that's where I started. And then from there, I kind of fell into the like beauty guru phase of YouTube where there were all these like teeny boppers, myself included, who were just like making makeup videos because we liked it. It's not like any of us knew what we were talking about, but it still was really fun. And just kind of following those different trends and making friends through that was really how I got started. And then my channel kind of kept growing from there over time.
Yeah. I mean, you might not have known exactly what you were doing with your hair, but you didn't wrap it around a curler and burn it off.
Yeah,
So
no, it wasn't that bad.
you didn't go viral for burning your hair off. So
No,
that's always
thankfully.
a good thing. So I feel like you've kind of been on YouTube through like tons of different phases of your life. So I know that you started very young and then you went through like your college and now you're in your adult career life. So your content has kind of grown with you. And I think that's really cool because our subscribers are probably all over the place when it comes to ages. And I think that a lot of people, if they become so branded on something, like I feel like, I think her name is JoJo. She was very young when she started her channel, and
Mhm.
now she's older, and I feel like her image is still that child that she was. And it's almost like it's hard to break away from that. Like, have you noticed that like your followers or subscribers have like you lose some and you gain some, or are they pretty loyal throughout the whole process?
I think it's kind of a mix. I mean, I would say more so people have come and gone over the years just because it's been such a long period of time. The content that I make has changed a lot. So I do think for the most part, people come and go, but there are those usernames that I see that I know that I've been seeing for years. And it's so cool that those people have kind of grown with me and been through these different phases of my life with me, because there definitely also were points where I didn't make as many videos or just like took a couple months off because things were going on in my life. So the fact that anyone has stuck with me through how inconsistent I've been overall is like pretty magical, and I'm thankful for all of them. So,
Yeah, it was actually pretty funny when Meg and I were catching our flight in North Carolina to go out to VidCon to meet up with you. We ran into another YouTube person, and when we actually met up with her again at VidCon, she actually recognized you from your channel, and I
yeah,
thought that was like really cool.
it was wild. She had commented on my video about going to VidCon and was like, "Oh, I'm going to, like, that's cool." And then somehow, like, through the forces of VidCon, we ended up meeting. And you guys met her, which was just such a small world thing. Like, that's such a huge convention. It's wild.
Yeah, it was funny because like the last time you and I went to VidCon, like we actually met more people from the East Coast over on the West Coast.
Yeah,
It was kind of interesting because we were at that one like meet and greet thing where they're just like, "Oh yeah, I'm from DC," and we're like, "Okay,
same. That
we're
was
right
pretty
there with
wild.
you."
Yeah.
So I think that when it comes to our friendship, when it comes to like the stuff that, like we've held each other accountable many times when it comes to posting on a regular basis, and of course as an adult, since YouTube isn't main income for either of us, like it gets hard sometimes to remain consistent, but it's definitely good to have accountability. One thing that like you've I think the reason we really connected at Playlist was just when we were talking about the reason we create content.
Mm.
We weren't seeking fame, and it was more of we want to add value to the world. We want to put something out there that will help someone in some way. And I mean, you've been doing a lot of videos, like you were saying, like with living in the DC area. Your most recent ones were around moving into your new apartment,
Hmm.
and it's crazy because those are things that you're not really taught in school. Those are things that you're adulting for the first time. I see my friend Tasha said I'm her accountability partner. So, yes, I'm trying to get her to get started. But I think that when it comes to just posting authentic videos on the internet, I think that that's something that you and I have really shared. I think that I've definitely got caught up in the numbers, and you've had to pull me back out a lot of
Yeah.
times.
It's dangerous. It's easy to focus on because, especially with how connected we are now. Like when I started my channel, I don't think I even had a smartphone. So I had to like come to my laptop and like refresh the page to see, but now like we can so easily check in on what's going on and what the latest numbers are. And so it's very easy to get caught up in. But also, I feel like it's like the same concept as like never watch a pot waiting for water to boil because you'll be standing there forever and like, but I don't know. You have to kind of let go and take a step back. And I think that's really when you grow the most, when you stop focusing on it, because then you're putting your energy elsewhere and where it really needs to be in order to grow in the first place.
Yeah, I think that if you can find joy in the creation of your content and find joy in the fact that even if just one person watches it, like that's where your energy should be focused. And I think like with these Instagram lives and with all the stuff that I've been doing here recently, I have really shifted my focus to I really, really do want to make a positive difference out in the world. And I want to add value and I want my friends to see their value because like you have definitely helped me through tons of different things since we've become friends, whether it's just talking about the stresses of creating and posting, because that can be a hot mess all on its own.
Right.
But it's nice to kind of have those types of people who hold you accountable. Like I've had people say that I'm famous now, and I think that's weird. Um, but like there have been several times where like when I'm talking to you and just like talking about the stuff that I'm doing and then I fall right back into numbers or I start falling away from the real authentic reason why I was posting in the first place. And you've always been that kind of friend. You're like, come back. you're falling into the ocean of negativity and numbers. Don't do it.
I'm honored that I'm able to manage to help with that.
It's crazy though, because like I think that we went to the same seminar in I think it was Playlist in DC where they were talking about like burnout.
Mm,
And there have been times, like honestly, here recently, I haven't posted a lot on YouTube. I've been doing a lot of Instagram, mainly because it's easy to hit record on here and just start talking and then hit end and be done.
right.
Because that's not the way YouTube functions.
It can, but I think the precedent we've set for ourselves because of what we see other people doing, like it is a lot more pressure than just like a live. So, I mean, but it's also, I think, good to just be putting the positive energy and creativity out there in whatever way you can. I mean, I think that's why people love TikTok so much because it's so accessible and you can literally just pull out your phone and like go for it and upload it. And it's just not as much of a thought process and a long kind of effort to get one product out. So I totally understand. I've also been in that kind of burnout phase with my channel. Like I uploaded my 10-year anniversary video and I have not posted since. So good times. But I do want to get back into it. It's a lot with working and everything. So
Yeah. And I think that when it comes to like your brand as a YouTube like personality, I think that a lot of people don't realize that it's a lot more than just like recording a video and posting it. Like the point of my channel, and I know it's one of yours as well, because like one of your things is just like, hey loves, like you create a community and
yeah,
you want to connect with the people that are watching. And it's not just I post videos because I want people to look at me. I post
yeah, no.
videos to like have people tell me I'm good looking. Like we post videos because it's our way of connecting with the world. And I think that's one of the things that I've seen a lot of people who do it because they're chasing like fame.
Mhm.
And you and I have seen some of our friends go that route and it doesn't really last very long. But
It's actually a good thing though, because that's how we met is one of my friends who went through that phase and then he met you and then I met you through him. So thank goodness that some people go through that phase.
we're all pieces of the puzzle.
Of course.
But yeah, I feel like you do a really good job of like creating that community feel with your people. Like I enjoy watching your videos because you do ask questions and you do respond to people's answers within the comments. And I think that a lot of people forget that, hey, part of being a YouTuber is you're there for your community. Like you are the leader of that community. And I think a lot of people miss that when they're creating content. It's almost like they want everyone looking at them and they don't realize that the videos are only one part of the content that you put out for the world.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, and I think those are two sides to YouTube. Unfortunately, it's just kind of how it is. I have heard vlogs referred to though as the ultimate selfie because you're posting so much of yourself and just like, hey, look at me. But like, it's like you were talking about, like, if your intentions are good and you're putting the content out there for more than just that, like, attention and like fame factor, then it's really different. And I do think community is like one of the most important parts of making content. Because, like, sure, I love editing videos, but like, what would be the point of me posting them to YouTube if I wasn't connecting with other people? Like, I'd be making music videos or something more exciting than, if I was just doing it for myself.
Yeah. I had someone post something underneath one of my like pictures on Instagram and they said, would you still post everything that you post online if no one was looking? So like if it was
Mm,
just solely me posting. And honestly, like my content is memories for me as well.
yeah.
So like for me, like watching older stuff, like I have like videos I post at the end of every year of like all the pictures on like a slideshow of like my
Hmm.
year. And I probably watch those like at least once a month. And I just like sit there and smile the entire time because it brings back all those memories. And I think like my favorite videos that I've done on YouTube are the ones where I'm collabing with my friends. And like here recently, these lives have been like the highlight of every single day. Like I leave work smiling and I get home and I'm excited to be around my nephew and my sister. Before I was doing these, like I I was just like in a blah mood, but
Yeah.
I love this type of connection that I get to have because I mean, with social distancing, like this is kind of what we've got to go to now.
Definitely. No, it's so great that we have places like Instagram where we can do this and still see each other's faces. Because I haven't seen your face in a long time, so I'm glad we can do this at least.
Yeah. So I think that something that we're noticing a lot here in 2020 is people calling themselves influencers.
Mm,
So with so much going on in 2020, like that for me personally, like I feel like it's put a lot of weight on my shoulders because you hear things like if you're silent, you're part of the problem. And
mm,
knowing that I've got a following who look up to me and respect my opinion, I feel like I have to give an opinion on everything that's going out.
mm.
Uh, and it's not always the easiest. It's it's almost like you adapt to a role that you didn't really sign up for at the beginning, not knowing how influential your words really are to people that are paying attention to you. How
Right.
have you kind of navigated through everything that's going on?
That's a great question. I think before this year, I was definitely more one of the people that just kind of pretended these things weren't happening and here's my happy content. Let's look at that and be positive and forget all that stuff. But I think with the events of this year, like, it just wasn't something that you couldn't speak up about. It actually really was not a good look if you stayed silent. And I also didn't want to stay silent. I think I've gotten to a point where I'm so comfortable with my platforms and the people that follow me. Like, if something I say offends you, like, you can leave and that's okay, Like, and I never used to be kind of that. I don't even think it's confrontational, but just like so strong in my own views and opinions. But I think it's taken all this time that I've spent online to be at a point where I don't care anymore. And I want the people in my community to be accepting, to be open, and to at least be able to consider other perspectives. So that's really important to me. And I did notice I shared quite a bit of Black Lives Matter posts and just really wanted my followers to be as educated and learning alongside me. And I definitely lost some followers from that. I noticed that it was kind of tanking, and I'm like, I'm not really offended by that because I'm sorry that the message didn't reach you the way it should have, but like, I hope you're happier elsewhere because I just don't need people that are that negative on my platform in the first place.
Yeah, I definitely saw my numbers start going down super fast as soon as I started posting. Like it was towards the end of May, beginning of June when it just like tanked. Like I
Mm,
lost 500 people in a day, and I'd never lost that
wow.
many. And at first, I was just like, oh no, maybe I do need to be a little bit more aware that my audience is a diverse audience. But then I did kind of think, I was like, my values are to care about everyone. I
Mm,
fight for equality. And if those people are going to unfollow me because I'm saying, hey, this community needs our help, hey, this needs our attention and we need to come up with solutions. I was like, you know what? I'd rather lose those people. And once I started doing that, I almost started growing like super fast.
Right.
I did educate myself. I think that as an influencer, it is our responsibility to understand the content we are speaking on. We don't want to just be loudmouths on a stage that's spurting out fake news or uneducated responses to what's going on in the world. And
Definitely.
I know that you and I have definitely done like our research. We've put things back and forth. I know that we've talked about things that we've posted on social media. It's definitely something like, I mean, we all have opinions and we all have views on how we think we can help,
Right.
but I'm right there with you. Like I in 2016 during the election, you wouldn't have seen
Mm.
what I'm posting now. Uh, I didn't feel like it was really my place. I felt like I was also a very young influencer, and I didn't think that it was my place to try to educate people on either party.
Right.
But this time around, I feel like uh, it is everyone's responsibility to kind of, and for me, I have been trying to promote positivity and acceptance and love more so than a specific political party. Since I'm part of the LGBT, it's a little bit easier for me to say, hey, vote blue. Uh,
Right.
but I just don't like seeing hatred on either side. So even if it's a very democratic person, if they're sitting there being extremely hateful and attacking people, I try to educate them on that side as well. I think that
Right.
I can't ask people to be positive, and I can't post stuff saying like positivity is the way to go. Let's love each other if I don't fight against negativity as well when I see it.
Right. Makes total sense. It's practicing what you preach. Very key,
Exactly.
especially in this day and age where people can track down when you don't practice what you preach, and that gets you in a lot of trouble. So,
Yes, it does. So when it comes to like you are doing lifestyle content, uh, when it comes to the type of content that you're creating, you are talking about like being super authentic. Like, but another thing that people, I think in this day and age, I think when we first started with internet, like our parents were like, hey, be careful with what you share on the internet.
mm,
Do you have like limits and stuff that you have for yourself to be like, okay, this is my personal life. I don't share this part of myself with the internet.
I think there definitely are things that I'm a little more guarded on, but mostly it's to do with privacy. So, like, I'll say that I live in this city, but I won't be more specific than that because safety is important. And I also try, though I will talk about work, to keep my professional self separate from my YouTube self because those are truly two different people. And I would like to keep it that way because if I combined my professional self with YouTube, I wouldn't be able to be as honest and as open and kind of use the language that I do, like my YouTube self is me. Like if you're watching my videos, you're basically one of my friends. And so that just kind of needs to be separate a little bit from my professional self. But I'm also very proud of what I do on YouTube. So I'm open about the two. They just kind of can't always be perfectly connected, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Like I people know that I do YouTube. Some of the clickbait type thumbnails, I don't know if I would be super excited if like the VP of my company like scrolled through. I've been trying to stay. I feel like all my content is appropriate. I don't think I've ever crossed lines. I think it might be taboo to talk about some of the things I've talked about,
Mm.
but I think that I've always given it a very mature spin when it came to the topics I was talking about. I'm also very awkward around certain topics, and some of my friends really love to pick on me for that. But so when it comes to like inspiration for your content, like what type of things inspire you? Because I know that there's lots of content out there, and it's got to come from somewhere.
Yeah, it does. I think with most creative people, inspiration comes at the most random times. So sometimes I'll literally just be like washing my hair in the shower and get a really great video idea. And then I'll have to run out and like write it down before I forget. But then also, honestly, other content inspires me. And it might not be that I like exactly copy something, but maybe someone talks about something and it makes me start thinking. And then I kind of want to expand on it in a different way. So it definitely comes from all angles. And I try to just run with it and keep a list of ideas so that when I am ready to film, I have things to cover and kind of run with.
Yeah, definitely. I I have like a thing on my phone where I just have like a list of things that come
Mhm.
to my mind, and then depending on the mood, that's going to be the video topic that I talk about because I think the mood has to match the topic. Uh,
Definitely.
I can't be like super smiley if the topic is like more serious, and I can't
Mhm.
be in a sleepy, grumpy mood and talk really happy. I've tried it; it comes off really bad.
It's terrible, yeah.
So there's definitely been times where I'm just like, put the camera down. It's not today. Today's not the
Yeah,
day.
definitely.
So one thing that I think when it comes to being a creator, like we were saying before, it's not like LA where there's like the YouTube stuff and everyone's there and there's just creators surrounding us. You're in a relationship and he doesn't really do like the whole YouTube thing. I know he's been a part of some of ours just by popping in.
Yeah.
When it comes to like people that are close around you, how do you keep your focus and passion going for YouTube if the people around you aren't like right in there with you?
That's a great question and something I struggle with, to be honest. But I think it's really important for me personally to just stay connected with people that are. So, like, I talk to you very frequently and we talk about YouTube, and that gets me inspired. And I also have joined the DC blogger community, kind of, which is funny because they're not quite doing what I'm doing, but they get what I'm doing. And so I've made a lot of great connections through that. And it's cool because then there are people that actually live around me. And in normal times, I can go get coffee with them and do like photo shoots with them. And so it's nice to be surrounded with those creative people. But I also think just being a creative person, like that's kind of where my motivation comes from. Like I want to make this content and put it out there and connect with my community. So that most of the time just is like an internal thing that I then bring out into the world.
Yeah, I personally like here lately, I've been pulling off on the side of the road and taking pictures because on my commute to work, I drive through the Blue Ridge Mountains.
Mm,
And for me, like the leaves changing color, and like right now, we've got like the most beautiful fog. And when the sun rises, which I'm there every single morning, like
right.
it hits the fog and turns the fog orange,
Oh
and
my
then the
gosh.
leaves are orange. And I've literally like just pulled off into someone's driveway and start walking into their field to get like the perfect picture.
Yeah,
And I think that's just like the creative in me. Like, I don't care about how awkward it is at this moment. Like, I've got to get that picture. And
definitely.
like we've talked about, like when it comes to YouTube, we like rearrange our rooms to
Hmm.
create a set for ourselves because we can't have the world seeing our messy desk or all our dirty clothes or clean clothes on our bed that haven't been folded yet.
Of course, yeah.
So, has there been anything like within YouTube life that kind of came as a surprise that when you started that you weren't really expecting?
I think honestly, it's the people I've met because I didn't expect to stay with YouTube as long as I did, or have, I guess, because I'm still on it. But yeah, the connections that I've made through YouTube are just amazing. Like I've met people all over the country and just gotten to make these connections that I probably wouldn't have otherwise. So that's really been one of my favorite parts of this, especially going to places like VidCon and Playlist, because then you're in that space with so many like-minded people and it's just awesome.
Yeah,
So
I mean, you've been with me when people have approached me. You've been with me when I've gotten pictures sent to me of us at
yeah.
places. So, like, for me, I think because I was always kind of like the nerdy kid that no one really talked to in school, that
Mm,
for me, the attention that I've gotten is very strange to me. I feel like my brain still hasn't accepted that. I
yep.
think that I'm still like it. Even when I was only getting like 100 views on my videos, I was like, why is there people that want to watch me like talk to like the camera? It's kind of interesting.
It
Uh,
is, yeah.
I'm thankful for it, but I think that that's still like in my mind. I'm like, this is weird.
Mm,
When it comes to like the way that you view yourself. I think that a lot of people, when they see people on the internet, of course, like you and I met in person first, so we didn't
Mm.
see each other's videos before. Um, well, you saw the one that I was kind of in when I was in Nick's movie, but
Yeah, that's different. That was a film.
but you didn't know until
No,
much later that I was in that movie.
no.
But when it comes to meeting YouTubers that you've watched, because when you go to YouTube events, you meet people that you've watched, because we're not just YouTubers, we are also fans of other
Yeah,
content creators. Like,
definitely.
how have those moments been for you when it comes to like meeting other people?
I think it's kind of a funny, like, internal battle because I definitely have that fangirl moment where I'm like, wow, like, I really look up to this person and I love their content, and oh my God, they're standing in front of me. So it's definitely taken me several conventions to like get it together and be able to like have a conversation with them. And even then, I think back to Buffer Festival about like 2 years ago now, and I met two like YouTube filmmakers who I've literally watched since before I started my channel, and I was like shaking. And like I took a picture with one of them and they put their arm around me. I'm like, oh no, now he knows that I'm shaking. Like, great, this is fine. But I don't know, it's awesome to be able to meet people that you look up to so much and get to talk to them about their content. That's definitely one of the best parts of things like VidCon and Playlist, besides meeting new people and making friends.
Yeah, I think that it's weird for me because like when I watch people's YouTube videos now, it's almost like I wonder what camera they're using. I wonder where they've
Mm,
got their lighting. I wonder like how they got this many angles. They literally either had to keep stopping and like I think about the content creating part. Um,
right.
and when I do meet other content creators like that, that's where I start jumping to. Like, I want to know those types of things. And of course, I've had those awkward moments, and you've got to witness some of them when I've met people that I look up to at YouTube things. Here recently, I've been talking to a lot of people that I've really looked up to. And, like, honestly, I've just been getting to the point where I've been asking to collaborate with people,
Mm,
and for me, I've always looked at it as like you should only collaborate with people that are like your size. Uh,
mm,
Asking someone who's at like above 1 million is a little bit insane for you to like ask for, but like they're just people. Like
yeah.
we're all just people. And I think that people forget that when they're talking to us. Like we are human beings that have feelings and emotions, and like we have friends that we communicate with, just like everyone who's watching us has friends that they communicate with. And I
Right.
think that they forget that. And that's one of the things that I kind of, once I got over that like fangirl moment, I started to realize, or fanboy, I guess I'm not a girl,
It's
but
fine. It's just a universal term.
but I think that it's interesting to kind of get to know the people, because a lot of YouTubers that I watch, they're almost exactly the same in person.
Mm,
But then you get some that are like really shy when they come off super extroverted online.
that's
So
always interesting. I think though it's so much easier to talk to a camera than it is people. Because like I'm totally really socially awkward. But I don't think I'd come across that way in my videos. I actually even from my last job had one of my coworkers like find my channel, and I didn't know her very well, so we hadn't talked a ton, and she told one of my other coworkers like she's like putting on an act for her videos, like she's not like that at all. And it's like, no, like you just haven't gotten to know her, like that's actually her personality.
that's
So
her.
just kind of funny.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely, I feel like for me, the most authentic stuff is going to be stuff where I'm talking to people I care about, like
Mm,
friends. When I'm talking to a camera, I feel more awkward doing it by myself
mm.
because I steal the energy from my friends. Like I absorb your energy. Sorry if you get tired after this call. I've been absorbing
You're
your
fine.
energy. Get yourself some coffee. But I think that it's really interesting when it comes to like people that are just starting their channel and how awkward it feels when you stand in front of a camera. Uh, I noticed that when I was watching some of like Jenna Marbles videos,
Mm,
she's one of the YouTubers that I've followed from the beginning, but it's almost like Julian or someone else is on the other side of the camera for her, and she talks
Mm.
to them because it's almost like she needs their energy, which is very similar to me. I've done videos where people are on the other side, and I think you can tell a difference for
Mm.
sure.
Yeah,
So,
that does make a difference. I feel like for me, it's about kind of picturing that person, as like weird as that sounds. Like you're not really talking to your camera because who's going to eventually watch it is who you're talking to. So that's kind of what helps me make that connection, even though I'm staring into a box. So,
when the world went virtual, we already knew how to do it. We were like, I got this.
yep.
I'm a pro. So, for people who are trying to start themselves right now, whether it's on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, whatever other platforms they're looking to start, what are some things that you think would be great tips for people who are just starting? Like, what are some things that they should put focus on? What are some things that maybe they don't need to focus on right now? Wait in a little bit longer.
Okay. I think honestly, like this is such a thing that everyone says, but just starting is the most important thing that you can do if you're interested in making content in any platform, honestly. Because you're going to figure out through that trial and error the direction you want to go, whether you actually like doing this. Because I think a lot of people, see this really high quality content on like YouTube, for example, and they feel like they need to go buy that DSLR, get lights, get a microphone, and like do all this stuff before they even know what they're doing or if they want to stick with it. And it's just a lot of pressure to put on yourself right away versus just filming on your iPhone or your computer. Like any camera pretty much nowadays is pretty solid to start out with. And most people aren't going to like hate your videos if they're not like TV quality right away. So it's definitely more important to start and kind of build as you go with equipment and everything that you're doing.
Yeah, most definitely. I think that when it comes to creating a community and your audience connecting with your videos, I think it's the authenticity and
Mm.
the actual like message in the content that they're going to stick around for. Like
Right.
I've watched tons of videos where it's not the greatest content or the quality of content, but the message is what I'm
Mm.
listening to. And yeah, I've had lots of friends that have gone out and spent thousands of dollars on equipment, and then they're like, "Oh my gosh, I do not have time for YouTube. Like, I didn't realize
Right.
it was going to be like a 5 hour process to get a
Mm.
video uploaded onto the internet."
Well, and especially when you do it that way, like I think it's more accessible to start on your phone because then you can like drag and drop an iMovie or something, and it's just like the barrier of entry is so much lower. So it's definitely good to start small and build because you can always build later. But I mean, even for me, like I studied film in college, I do video professionally, and I still just use like a $200 ring light from Amazon and my DSLR that I bought like 4 years ago. And that's what I film with. So you don't need super fancy stuff to make good content. It's more about the message that you're sharing and, being authentic, like you were saying.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like, I feel like some people really go all out with that type of stuff. And I mean, I know people who have bought like all the like gear for like GoPros and stuff because they want to
Mm.
create like certain videos with moving action, and I'm just like, okay, go for it, but get ready.
Yes.
One Something else that I think that a lot of people forget is the content that creators make 10 years down the road is different than the content they created when they first started, in the
Mm.
sense that when you start on day one and you don't have any followers, you're starting at zero, nobody wants to watch you brush your teeth. Like, I think that some people who really aren't well known
Mm.
start off with channels where they're just like, here, I'm going to show you my life. And they don't realize that some of the content creators that are doing that, like the Kardashians and stuff,
Mm.
they're the Kardashians. People want to see them brush their teeth.
Right.
Like, when it comes to, like, I've had people request me to do videos like that, and I I think it's kind of weird for me. My life isn't as interesting as people assume it is. The pictures may be nice, but the hike is not pretty. I'm
Yeah.
panting, sweaty, and look a hot mess for the 2 hour hike up the mountain. Uh, I would never put that out for the world to see. It's not cute. But I think that a lot of people starting off, they get confused in what type of message they should be creating.
Mm.
So, like, when it comes to advice for someone who's, because there's a lot of people who say, well, I live a very complex life. I
Right.
love lots of different things. I've got hobbies all over the place. What
Mm.
type of advice would you give to someone when creating a channel?
Yeah, that's great. And I do think that's a thing, especially because you always hear like, oh, you need to pick like a certain category of content and just like stick to that. Like that's how you hit success. Um, and I mean, that's true to an extent, but I guess to start making content, you do need some kind of direction. So for me, my best advice for that is the thing that lights a fire within you. Like, what is something that someone asks you about and you could talk about it for the next 3 hours? Or what is something that you would stay up until 3 a.m., even though you have to work the next day because you want to do that? Um, and that's where you need to start and that place that you need to try to share with other people. Because if you're that passionate and you're really sharing that message, then there's going to be other people who are passionate about it too. And they're going to feel that passion from you and want to connect with you and learn more from you. So it's definitely a great place to start. And you can always build out from there. Because, like I said earlier, I started with curly hair content and I maybe make like one hair video a year now. So, like, it's not what I do anymore, but it gave me that starting point and I was able to kind of build out from there.
Yeah. I think that a lot of people also are worried about putting content out there because they're currently surrounded by people who aren't accepting of that type of content.
Mm,
I think that people forget that the internet is a lot bigger than your small little town. It's bigger
mm,
than any big city that you even live in. And I think that sometimes people are too cautious with their content and almost try to tone themselves down so
right.
that they can be accepted by the people they assume are going to be watching their content.
Mm,
I think that a lot of people need to realize that one of the best parts about being a YouTuber is if you are your most authentic self, like your audience will find you.
mm. Well, you'll
And I,
find your people. Like, you won't just find viewers, like, you'll find your people. And I can't find a better way to describe that, but like, that's the best part of YouTube, honestly. Even with YouTubers that I follow, like, I follow them because I care about them and I connect with them as a person. And their awesome content is just a bonus with that. So,
yeah, I mean, there's definitely YouTubers that I get excited for their successes just because
mm,
they've been on YouTube for so long. I've watched them grow. And I mean, there's content creators that are younger than me. There are content creators that are my age. I think that a lot of the OG people are sitting at the 30 mark right now when it
mm,
comes to creating content. And you definitely see them grow. You see them branch off. I've always told people, I'm like, be aware that YouTube is like an online resume that you never knew you created,
mm,
because I've been like reached out to by so many really cool things that I would have never thought existed. Like,
right.
I live in Virginia. I'm not part of the Hollywood scene. I'm not a model or an actor seeking jobs, but
Mm.
people have reached out because of the content that I create.
Definitely. It's an awesome way to make connections. And without fail, it is the topic of conversation in every job interview that I've had since I've been more public about my YouTube channel. So, but I mean, I think it's also a great thing to have because you're putting yourself out there in a different way than a lot of people do. And it's just really special to share that connection with other people. And then it does bring really cool opportunities like you were talking about. So that's a nice bonus as well.
Yeah. And I feel like when it comes to putting content out there, um, you are literally showing the world what you're capable of when it comes to like your personality,
Mm,
when it comes to your ability to like commit your time to something. Like there's so much more than just like, oh, look, she's good at editing videos.
mm,
Like your people skills are displayed on YouTube. Your ability to be a leader out in the world is displayed on YouTube. There's a lot of people out there that produce content and keep it to themselves when it comes to job interviews. But
right.
every job I've applied for, like in the past 3 years, my YouTube has been one of the
Yeah.
main topics. And because we are living in a very social media world now,
Mm,
uh, my company's reached out to me to ask about like how algorithms work. Like, should they pay for certain ads on certain platforms? How
mm,
successful would that be? And I mean, you can't write a book on it because it changes so fast. You
Yeah,
have to be immersed in the life of social media to understand it.
definitely. No, I totally agree because I work in digital media and social media most days. So being immersed in it in my personal time too, I kind of learn in a very different way. And if you're at all interested in working in the space, there's not a better way that you can learn besides getting in the space yourself and just kind of playing around and learning by doing.
Yeah. I think that when it comes to like traits and stuff that you can learn from becoming a content creator and also like networking, oh my
Mhm.
gosh, like that's phenomenal. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you and I have, we did that one where we were talking about like when it comes to applying for jobs, like going through the interview process, like ways that you should answer questions and stuff like
Mm,
that. And I've gotten lots of feedback where people have watched that and gone into an interview. I mean, YouTube is limitless, and
absolutely.
when it comes to like people on the internet, it's funny, like you could literally walk into a Starbucks and someone could recognize you,
Yeah.
or you could be on the elevator at VidCon standing next to someone who just seems like a regular 15-year-old kid. And when that elevator door opens, there's a billion screaming girls at the
Mm.
elevator because apparently he's the next boy band on YouTube. And I feel like it's a different type of fame than what like Hollywood actors and actresses feel like they kind of get because I feel like it's almost more personal.
Definitely. I mean, you're sharing as much of your life as you're comfortable with, but it's a very different kind of content than when you're following an actor you love because that also, they're always playing a character. So you're not really getting to know the person who plays the characters. You're seeing their talent, and that's awesome. But YouTube is very different in that way, where, and really just social media in general, like when you're sharing so much of your life and so much of yourself, it's a different kind of connection. Like when you meet a YouTuber, you can be like, "How's your dog?" And like what dog they have and like when they got them and how cute they were as a puppy. And there's just a much deeper connection, I think, with most content creators because they're sharing so much and really connecting on a level that you just don't with a normal celebrity. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think that it's I one of the things I hate is when my friends play my YouTube videos around me. I hate it. I do not like going to people's houses and they pull up my videos on like a 75-inch TV. Like, please stop. Like,
I'm
I
always
hate.
honored. Maybe that's narcissistic of me, but I'm like, oh, thank you. Yes, watch my videos. Like,
I'm just like, can we watch one of the ones with my friend sitting beside me? Because
aw.
I don't like listening to my videos when I'm sitting there. It's just weird. But when it comes to YouTube, I mean, of course, you can get paid from creating content. I saw a comment a while back up where they were asking like if YouTube was like a full-time job. I
Mm,
don't think that YouTube is something that you can like say, okay, it's going to be my full-time job. That's something that you kind of have to build up to.
absolutely.
And I feel like sometimes even YouTube is just a stepping stone to something bigger because now we've got tons of YouTubers who are on TV shows. They've got their own
Mm,
Netflix series. They're actors and actresses. They're authors. I think that YouTube is I would say it's a great place to build a community, and that's what YouTube is for. It's building a
definitely.
community of like-minded people.
Yeah,
When
I completely agree.
it comes to your channel, where do you see like growth and what type of stuff would you want your YouTube channel to eventually like propel you towards?
I love this. This is like the dream big question. I mean, I ideally really just want to continue to reach people and help them to live their best lives, as cheesy as that sounds. And also, eventually, I kind of want to branch out and help other people do what I'm doing. Because I think, as much as there's a lot of resources out there, sometimes you need that extra and more personal push. So, my dream is eventually that I'll be doing YouTube and then also being kind of like a freelance consultant kind of vibe where, like, I might film a wedding sometime and then I might be advising someone on how to start a YouTube channel and really just kind of being my own boss and doing my own thing. I would love YouTube to help support me to do that. I don't know if I would want to go all in and like do YouTube full time. I mean, I know that it's possible. I've seen lots of people do it, but I also think that I've always kind of thrived off of having projects outside of YouTube as well. So having the two would definitely be the dream.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people, because it's funny, because when you look at children, when it comes to their dream jobs, the number one job right now is YouTuber, which
Right,
I think is crazy. I don't think that they realize how much work goes into it. Like,
right.
I was talking to someone else before on another live where we were talking about like your passions. And when it comes to doing something that you're passionate about, like when that hard work comes, like your passion does pull you through that.
Right.
And I think some people lack the passion for creating and they just want the success that comes with the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And I think that those people usually fall very short when it comes to how long they last on YouTube.
Oh, definitely. I mean, it's all about the passion and that connection. Like if you're just in it for the numbers, like good luck, sweetie. Because like I mean, just like anything else in life, like you have to put in your time and energy and, lose sleep some nights to edit. And like, it's just not something that comes instantly. I mean, that's true with anything in life. Like, let's say I want to build a desk. Like, I'm not just going to go buy wood at Home Depot and then it's done. Like I have to take the time to figure out what I'm doing and like hammer it together and whatever else would be required. Totally don't know how to build a desk, but it's a good example, I think, because someone like me trying to do that, it would be really hard and it wouldn't be as easy as just buying the materials. So it's the same thing. Like you can't just make a YouTube channel and expect to have 1 million subscribers and it be your full-time job the next day. Like there is a lot of work and frankly luck that goes into that. So
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to growing a channel, I know that there's lots and lots of different ways that you can grow a channel. And I mean, every YouTube convention that we've gone to, like this is a topic of discussion because everybody wants to know.
right.
There's people who try to do the cheap way out. Well, not cheap way. They spend money on buying followers and it doesn't really end well for them. Uh, what would you say, like, is like three main things that people should like be aware of when it comes to growing a channel authentically and not paying for
That's a
followers?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, first of all, paying for followers. I mean, I think most of us know this, but it literally does nothing for you because sure, it might look good until you do a little clicking and it's like, oh, this person has 10,000 subscribers. Why are they getting 10 views on their videos? So most people can put two and two together. But beyond that, let me see if I can come up with three off the cuff. I think really, as much as I've already been saying this kind of thing, making those genuine connections is a really key thing because then you're going to draw the people who are going to connect with your content and want to keep seeing more from you. But then also, just from a technical kind of back end side, you want to really know the platform that you're posting to, know how you can get your content in front of the most people. And that really just involves, watching videos, reading blog posts, and educating yourself on how you can best do that. When it comes to YouTube itself, it's important to make sure that your thumbnails are where they should be, that you're doing good titles, that you're thinking about tags and what you're writing in your description, because besides Google, YouTube is one of the top search engines just in the world online. So you need to be able to be optimizing that content so people can hopefully find it and then connect with it from there. Um, I don't know if I have any other tips right this second. But I think really just going into it for the right reasons and putting in the work is how you get there. Buying followers is temporary and it's not going to work.
Yeah, I've definitely seen a lot of things where I'm like, wow, they've got like 300,000 followers on Instagram. And then I look at their pictures and I'm like, I've only got 20,000 and I've got more likes than they've got. Like their videos got 25 views. That's
Yeah.
300,000 people and only 25 people have seen it. So
Yeah.
it might look appealing to someone who doesn't understand content, but as soon as you are sitting next to someone who's actually climbed the ladder, like we can see it. It's easy to know that someone. You don't need to do that. Those are fake people.
No,
They're computers. Like if you look at them, it's not real. But
definitely.
I think one thing that I've learned and other people have pointed out is like consistency,
Hmm.
which is
Oh, yeah,
hard.
that's such an obvious one. Where did my brain go?
Consistency, I feel like, is harder than people realize.
Absolutely.
Like it's easy to go to work and work the hours you're supposed to because you'll get in trouble if you don't.
Mm,
YouTube, you don't get in trouble. So it can easily go to the back burner, which it's done for both of us multiple times. Like
definitely.
when you don't get paid enough to support yourself, on a channel, like it can take a back burner. And like when you have to whack things off the plate for now to survive the world that's going on around you, like
Mm.
something like YouTube can sometimes fall off. But consistency, like when you say, hey, I'll see you next Tuesday, like you want to be able to provide that because one, it's showing the world that you are consistent and can do
Mm.
it, and the algorithms pick up on that.
Oh, definitely. Because I mean, the more consistent you are, the more people are clicking on your content, the more YouTube goes, "Ooh, we're making money off these ads. We want you to watch more of this. Thank you."
This
So
person
it definitely
consists.
is key, but you're right. It's very hard to do. It takes a lot of discipline and planning. And as much as I like to think that I'm good at that, I go through phases where I'm good at it and I'm not good at it. So
Yeah. I think like after VidCon or like right before VidCon, it's like really inspiring, and you're just like,
yeah,
oh my God, I'm doing one every week. Like I've done where I'm like, I'm gonna do one every day of the month, and I'm like, what the hell was I thinking?
that is always a bad idea.
I'm
Always.
crazy. But I think that another thing is like collaborating. I think that it's beautiful because you tap into an audience that wouldn't have seen you before. I think that you have to be aware that like when you collaborate, the audiences that the people you're collaborating with have. So like you and I have collaborated, and we don't usually see a lot of like crossovers
Right,
because our content is very different. Like you and I love each other to death, but
right.
our content's different, so our viewers are different. But we
Definitely.
can still produce content. But that is also a great way to kind of grow and find new people.
For sure.
I know that since I've been doing lives here, because the live shows up on my page as well as like your page when we're doing it, like because I've done stuff with other creators, people are jumping ship and saying, "Hey, I love this person." Well, tying ships together. They're not leaving the other page, I hope. Hopefully they're
Right.
staying on both pages.
We can all share. It's fine.
You can only have 50 people you follow.
Oh my God, I
So,
could never.
yeah, mine, I've got so many people that I follow. So, closing the conversation up because I see that we just hit the hour part. Who would you say are like some of your top like inspirational creators that kind of inspire you to keep posting on YouTube, or just you will purposely go to their channel to see if they've created new content?
Great question. Honestly, this is constantly shifting depending on kind of where I'm at in life and who I'm vibing with, which sounds funny, but like I just follow so many people because I've been on YouTube for so long that it is physically impossible for me to keep up with everyone I follow. I want to, which is why I also follow them on Instagram and Twitter so I can see what's going on. But I think as of lately, one of the people that I no fail, like I have her notifications on, I'm always one of the first people to watch her videos if I can, is Alison Bickerstaff. She's another lifestyle content creator and really focuses on positivity and creating just like a good life. And I just love her content so much. I also just aspire to be on her level because she like makes such beautiful content because she does this full time. So she has time to like set up her camera just so and like have 5 angles of her making coffee. And like it's just so relaxing and wonderful to watch. And she's also just such a good person. Like when I respond to her story, she'll like actually reply, which for a lot of bigger YouTubers, I totally understand. You only have so many hours in the day. Like it's consuming a lot of time to respond to your fans. But if you're doing that, then you're making those deeper connections. So I really love her. Could gush about her videos for a long time.
Yeah. Have you ever got to meet her at any of the YouTube events?
I haven't. I actually just found her sometime either earlier this year or like late last year. So I haven't really been following her for very long and certainly not long enough to go to a convention because 2020, dang it.
Canceled everything.
But she also lives in the Orlando area, so I kind of just low key hope that I'll like be visiting my family and then run into her somehow because that would be awesome.
That would be cool. I would say for me, like an inspirational person, Connor Francis, probably someone
Mm.
that I really, really enjoy. I know that you watch
I
his
love
stuff as
Connor.
well. Like, I love that he is part of the LGBT, but his main focus is like creativity and
Mm.
life and finding the good in the world and being a good person. And hey, he just so happens to be LGBT, and he is one
Right.
of those YouTubers that have has rolled into a clothing line. He's rolled into his own books, and I just love the type of content. He is younger than I am, but I just love the content and the energy that he puts into it and how honest he is about
Mm,
just life in general. I know that we kind of all share some of our lives with the internet. I always say like it's probably like 1% of who I am. Uh,
right.
but like I just I have not got to meet him yet. I was so upset. Like every single event I've gone to, he's like, "Yep, not going this time." I'm like, why not?"
Yeah, it's hard. I That's one of my like past regrets, I guess. Hindsight is always 2020 because like since I've been watching YouTube for so long, like if I had gone to a playlist like an OG playlist or an OG VidCon, like could have met a lot of people. But yes, no, totally agree. Connor is such an awesome creative and human and it just puts so much into what he does. So I also really admire his work. Hopefully we'll both meet him one day. I'll manifest that for us.
Yes, he was like doing book signings at like I think it was Urban Outfitters or something.
Mm.
He was going around like signing his books, and he had one in DC, and I was like, I'm going. And like as soon as he like put it up, like the tickets sold out, and I was like, well, there goes that
Yeah, that sounds
opportunity.
about right.
I'm sure he had like 3 billion girls sitting on the other side, like with their finger on the button. I was like slowly going through, and I was just like click, and it was like sold out. I'm like, no.
Hate when that happens.
Well, awesome. Well, the weekend has started. It is
It
dark here,
has. Yes, it's
so
getting pretty dark here too.
I will let you go so that you guys can get your weekend started. Um, I'm sure Ken's there too, since you guys
He's actually out, so I'm
um,
chilling it tonight. But that's it's actually kind of nice because like I mean I love him to death, but now that like we live together, we work at home together, like we're never apart. So when we are, I'm like, bye. So
if you hit traffic, don't take a shortcut home. Just sit
so
there and be patient.
exactly.
Yeah, I'm thankful that I have an office now because now I can be away from my sister, and then when I go home, I can actually appreciate her and not be like, go.
Right. Get that space.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to let you go. Thank you
Okay,
so much for doing this with me.
of
Uh,
course.
you're like one of the people that definitely play a very important role in my life. So I love sharing people like that with the people who are following me. So you're definitely an inspiration to me. And like, I love seeing like your growth, and I'm excited to see where it takes you.
Thank you. I could like cry. Gross. Thanks for having me. I love your face, and hopefully I'll see you soon in person.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.